They thought winter would erase everything, the tracks, the witness, the crime. But they did not count on a Navy SEAL who no longer needed permission to act, or the German shepherd at his side who watched without barking. No threats were spoken, no shots were fired. Yet hardened criminals began to disappear from the snow, one by one, until the man who ordered it all finally understood something too late. Justice does not always come loudly. Sometimes it comes quietly, with discipline, restraint, and a reckoning no one can escape. If this story speaks to you, please share it with someone who believes in right and wrong, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel to keep these stories alive. Footprints in the frozen harbor. Snow fell sideways along the frozen edge of Lake Erie, turning Buffalo's harbor into a white maze of wind, ice, and silence. Lucas Bennett moved through it with practiced economy. He was 38, tall and broad-shouldered, with the compact strength of a man who had learned to carry weight without showing strain. A navy winter coat hung heavy over his frame, dark with melting snow, the collar turned up against the wind. His beard was trimmed short, black threaded with early gray, framing a face cut sharp at the jaw and cheekbones. His eyes were the kind that stayed calm even when everything else went wrong. Deep blue, measuring, unwilling to blink first. Years earlier, those eyes had watched a doorway in Fallujah for 6 hours without moving. Now they watched a deserted harbor road at 2 in the morning. Beside him walked Max. The German shepherd was 5 years old, black and tan, large even for his breed. His chest was wide, his neck thick with muscle, his coat dense enough to shrug off the worst of the cold. A black working harness wrapped his torso, the words, "Service Dog, Do Not Pet," stitched in clean white letters. His amber eyes scanned constantly, not darting, not frantic, calculating. Max did not pull on the leash. He did not need to. Lucas had not planned on walking tonight. Winter nights were usually quiet, predictable. He preferred them that way. After leaving the Navy SEALs, he had learned that peace came only when you stopped asking for it. You built routines instead: harbor patrols, warehouse maintenance, short conversations with people who did not ask questions. The past stayed buried if you kept moving. Max stopped, not abruptly, not with alarm. He slowed, one paw lifting slightly from the ice, ears angling forward. Lucas felt it before he saw it, that tightening in the chest, the old switch flipping on. He followed Max's gaze. Footprints. They crossed the harbor road at an angle, deep and uneven, half filled with snow. Not fresh enough to steam, not old enough to soften. There were at least 3 sets, maybe 4. One dragged. Lucas crouched, gloved fingers hovering inches above the prints. No need to touch. His mind was already reconstructing the scene. Running, slipping, someone injured. Max let out a low sound, barely audible. Not a growl, a warning. Lucas rose slowly and scanned the dark shapes of the warehouses ahead. Rusted steel walls, broken windows, doors chained shut years ago. The kind of place the city forgot first. "All right," Lucas murmured. His voice was low, calm, controlled. "We look." Max moved ahead without waiting for permission. They followed the tracks between 2 buildings, where the wind howled louder, funneled by concrete and steel. Snow swirled in blinding bursts, then cleared just enough to reveal darker shapes on the ground. Blood. Not much, but enough. Lucas's jaw tightened. He had promised himself he was done, stepping into other people's chaos. Done believing it was his job to fix things. That belief had cost him a team once. Good men. One mistake, one delay, one body too many. But Max had stopped again. This time his posture changed completely. Head low, spine straight, muscles coiled tight beneath his coat. Someone was ahead. A figure lay near the loading dock door, half curled against the concrete as if trying to disappear into it. A woman, late 20s, maybe early 30s. Medium height, slim build, though the winter jacket made it hard to tell. Dark brown hair spilled loose from a knit cap, tangled with snow. Her skin was pale, lips tinged blue. One arm was pulled tight against her ribs at an unnatural angle. She was breathing. Barely. Lucas approached slowly, palms open. "Hey," he said quietly. "You hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open. Hazel. Sharp even through pain. She tried to move and failed, a soft sound escaping her throat that might have been a curse or a prayer. Behind Lucas, Max shifted. Footsteps echoed from the far end of the alley. 3 men emerged from the snow. They wore street jackets and gloves, faces half hidden by scarves. Average height, average build, the kind of men who relied on numbers more than skill. One carried a tire iron, another had his hand inside his coat. They froze when they saw Lucas. He did not reach for a weapon. He did not raise his voice. He simply stood. Max stepped forward half a pace. The dog did not bark. That was what unsettled them. Animals that barked could be frightened, controlled, distracted. Max did none of that. His eyes locked onto the man with the tire iron, unblinking, head slightly tilted as if measuring distance and timing. Lucas felt the shift ripple through the alley. He had seen it before, in safe houses, on boats at night. The moment when predators realized something else had entered the food chain. "Move along," Lucas said. His tone held no threat. That made it worse. One of the men laughed, short and nervous. "This ain't your business." Lucas looked at him the way he once looked at targets through night vision optics. Without anger, without emotion, just assessment. "She's hurt," Lucas said. "You're leaving." The man with his hand inside his coat hesitated. His eyes flicked to Max, then back to Lucas. He saw the stance, the balance, the stillness. People who knew violence recognized restraint when they saw it. The tire iron clanged against the concrete as it slipped from numb fingers. They backed away. One step, then another. Then they turned and disappeared into the storm without another word. Max did not move until they were gone. Lucas knelt beside the woman. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emily," she whispered. Her voice was rough but steady. A woman used to pain, but not to losing. Lucas nodded once. "I'm Lucas. This is Max. We're getting you out of here." She looked at the dog, fear flickering briefly, then easing. Max lowered his head, resting it lightly near her shoulder, warmth radiating through his thick coat. Tears slid silently from her eyes. Lucas exhaled slowly. He knew this feeling, the moment before everything changed. Behind them, the wind erased the men's footprints from the snow, but Lucas did not fool himself. People like that did not forget humiliation. They returned with friends, with weapons, with anger, and when they did, they would learn what he already knew. A Navy SEAL and his German Shepherd did not need to hunt loudly. They were enough just standing there. The weight of silence, the storm thickened overnight, snow stacking against brick walls and frozen docks until Buffalo felt sealed off from the rest of the world. Lucas's warehouse apartment sat above an old machine shop near the harbor. Concrete floors, exposed beams, one working heater that rattled like it might give up at any moment. It was not comfortable, but it was defensible. Lucas liked places that told the truth about what they were. Emily lay on a narrow cot near the heater, wrapped in a surplus blanket Lucas had folded twice for extra weight. Up close, she looked younger than Lucas had first thought, early 30s at most. Her build was slim and athletic, shoulders narrow but strong, the kind shaped by training rather than comfort. Her dark brown hair was pulled into a loose knot now, strands clinging to her forehead with sweat. Her skin was pale from shock, but there was color returning to her lips. Lucas worked quietly. He removed his gloves and examined her injuries with the practiced care of someone who had done this too many times. Her left shoulder was dislocated. At least 2 ribs were bruised, maybe fractured. Cuts along her forearms suggested she had gone down fighting, not running. Emily watched him through half-lidded eyes. "You a doctor?" she asked. Her voice was dry, controlled. Pain lived underneath it, but it was leashed. "No," Lucas said. "But I've broken most of these myself." That earned a weak, humorless smile. Max lay on the concrete floor between the cot and the door. He had not relaxed since they arrived. His head was up, ears alert, body positioned to block the only clear path inside. The harness stayed on. Lucas never removed it unless they were sleeping somewhere truly safe. Emily's eyes kept drifting toward the dog. "He doesn't like strangers," she said softly. "He doesn't like threats," Lucas corrected. "You're not one." Max shifted at the sound of her voice, amber eyes flicking to her face, then back to the door. Lucas reset her shoulder quickly. He warned her first, gave her time to brace. She still cried out, a sharp sound she cut off almost immediately, jaw clenching as the joint slid back into place. "Sorry," he said. "It's fine," Emily replied, breathing hard. "I've had worse." That told Lucas more than any badge would have. He wrapped her ribs, splinted her arm, and handed her a bottle of water. "Drink slow." She did. For a few minutes, there was only the sound of wind hammering the metal siding and the distant groan of lake ice shifting under pressure. "Those men," Emily said finally, "they'll be back. Lucas nodded. Yes. You don't seem surprised. I don't believe in unfinished business, he said. Neither do people like them. Emily studied him more closely now. The way he stood, the way he spoke, calm without softness, control without arrogance. You military? She asked. Was. What kind? Lucas hesitated. Not long, just enough. Navy. She absorbed that, eyes sharpening. That dog, she said. He's not just a pet. No. Max's ears twitched as if he understood the compliment. Emily shifted slightly, then winced. I'm Emily Rhodes, Federal Task Force. Lucas reached into a drawer and pulled out a clean cloth, pressing it gently to a cut on her temple. What were you doing in that alley? He asked. She exhaled slowly. Running out of time. She told him in pieces at first, a weapons pipeline moving through the western New York, street gangs acting as couriers, moving crates they did not understand for people they would never meet, military-grade hardware stripped of serials, ghost guns, experimental pieces stolen from contractors who had learned too late that oversight was a suggestion, not a rule. And the man behind it? Lucas asked. Emily's jaw tightened. Ryan Caldwell. The name landed heavy. Lucas knew the type immediately. He had met them overseas, men who wore discipline like a costume and discarded it when it no longer served them. Former Army, Emily continued. Captain, decorated, tall, maybe 6'2", broad chest, clean cut, dark hair always perfect, even in combat photos. He looks like someone you trust. And he isn't. He is when it benefits him, she said. That's what makes him dangerous. Caldwell had built his operation quietly. No headlines, no turf wars. He used people like the men in the alley as expendable tools. When Emily's team got close, too close, he didn't panic. He erased. They grabbed me after a meet went wrong, Emily said. I fought. I hurt one of them. Didn't matter. Caldwell doesn't care about damage. He cares about silence. Lucas looked at Max. The dog met his gaze, steady and ready. You have evidence? Lucas asked. Yes, Emily said. Enough to bury him. Enough to make sure he never walks free. And that's why you're here, Lucas said. Not dead. They tried, she replied. They missed. Lucas stood and moved to the window, peering through a narrow gap in the insulation. Snow swept the street clean, but he didn't trust emptiness. Listen carefully, he said. You stay here tonight. We don't run until daylight. Emily's eyes widened slightly. They'll look. Yes, Lucas said, but they'll expect fear, hiding, mistakes. He turned back to her. They won't expect me. Outside, somewhere beyond the storm, engines revved and faded. Max rose to his feet without a sound. Lucas rested a hand on the dog's head, feeling the steady heat beneath his fingers. Get some rest, he told Emily. Tomorrow gets harder. She hesitated, then nodded. Why are you helping me? Lucas considered the question. Because once, he said slowly, someone decided my team was acceptable loss. Emily understood that kind of sentence. She didn't ask more. As the storm raged on, 3 men sat in a heated SUV 2 blocks away, watching the dark outline of Lucas's building. One of them, a thick-necked man with a scar splitting his left eyebrow, spat into a cup. That dog, he muttered, didn't even bark. Another man shifted uneasily. Caldwell won't like this. No, the first replied. He'll hate it. Inside the warehouse, Max stood motionless, eyes fixed on the door. The threat had already arrived, and it had no idea what it was facing. The city becomes a weapon. Dawn did not arrive gently. It crept over Buffalo like a reluctant witness, pale light reflecting off ice and steel. Lucas stood at the warehouse window long before the sky changed color. The storm had eased, but the cold remained sharp, settling into bones and concrete alike. Snow lay heavy along the streets, muting sound, softening edges. A city wrapped in white looked peaceful to outsiders. To Lucas, it looked ready. He adjusted the strap of his shoulder holster and glanced back toward the cot. Emily was awake now, propped slightly on one elbow despite the pain. Her face was drawn, but her eyes were clear, focused. She was dressed again, federal jacket zipped halfway, her badge tucked discreetly inside. You shouldn't be up, Lucas said without turning. I've been worse, she replied, and I can think when I'm upright. That too told him plenty. Emily Rhodes was not tall, just under 5'6", with a lean, compact frame built for endurance rather than power. Her face was angular, cheekbones sharp, nose slightly crooked from an old break. Her dark hair was pulled into a tight braid now, discipline imposed where chaos had tried to intrude. There was a scar near her left eyebrow, thin and pale, not decorative, earned. She was the kind of woman criminals underestimated once. Max moved between them, nails clicking softly on the concrete as he repositioned himself closer to Emily. He did not press against her. He simply placed his body where it would matter. Lucas noticed. "He trusts you," Emily said quietly. "He reads intent," Lucas replied. "Better than people." Emily nodded. "That's why Caldwell hates dogs." Lucas turned. "He's had trouble with them before." "Yes," she said. "Canines don't bargain." Outside, a car door closed somewhere down the block. Lucas didn't look toward the sound. He didn't need to. "They're already here," Emily said. "Yes." "You're calm about that." Lucas met her gaze. "Fear is loud. Calm keeps you alive." He moved to a table near the back wall and began laying out gear. A city map of Buffalo, edges worn. A handheld radio, zip ties, a flashlight taped for low-light use. Nothing flashy, nothing illegal, just tools. "This city," Lucas said, tapping the map, "was built for shipping, tunnels, maintenance corridors, old rail spurs that never got filled in." Emily leaned closer, wincing as she shifted. "You're planning to move," she said. "I'm planning to disappear," Lucas replied. Briefly. He traced a route with one finger, from the harbor toward a disused grain elevator district. "Caldwell's men will do what they always do. Push fast, surround, intimidate. And you won't be here." "I will," Lucas said. "Just not where they expect." Max watched the movement of Lucas's finger, head tilting slightly. He did not understand maps, but he understood tone, purpose. Emily studied the route. "That area's dead," she said. "No cameras, no traffic. No witnesses," Lucas agreed, "which works both ways." She looked at him for a long moment. "You don't do this often," she said. Lucas didn't answer right away. "I stopped," he said finally. "After Kandahar." The name hung between them. "My team," he continued. "We were clearing a route. Intel said empty. It wasn't." I hesitated. 1 second. "Enough." Emily didn't interrupt. "They died fast," Lucas said. "Clean, professional. I survived." He folded the map and slid it into his jacket. "I don't chase redemption," he said, "but I don't ignore patterns." Emily understood what he meant. "Caldwell creates chaos and steps away," she said. "He lets other people bleed." "Yes." "And you don't like that?" "No." They moved out just after sunrise. Lucas led them through a side door into a narrow service alley choked with snow. Max went first, nose low, tail level. He paused at intersections, listening, reading. The city spoke in vibrations and scent trails, and Max listened better than anyone. 2 blocks away, a black SUV idled. Inside sat Mark Hanley, one of Caldwell's lieutenants. Mid-40s, thick through the chest, balding, a trimmed beard that tried and failed to soften his expression. His knuckles bore old scars. His eyes were tired in a way that came from too many nights like this. "He's military," Hanley muttered, watching Lucas's building through binoculars. "How do you know?" asked the driver, a younger man with nervous hands. "Because he doesn't move when he should," Hanley said. "And because that dog hasn't made a sound." Hanley had seen dogs like that overseas, dogs that didn't chase, dogs that waited. "Caldwell wants confirmation," the driver said. Hanley lowered the binoculars. "We'll get it." They didn't see Lucas slip behind them through a maintenance corridor beneath an abandoned rail line. The corridor smelled of rust and old water. Pipes ran overhead, dripping slowly. Emily struggled to keep pace, pain biting at her ribs, but she did not complain. Max walked beside her now, shoulder brushing her thigh when she stumbled. Support without interference. At the far end of the corridor, Lucas stopped and raised a hand. Max froze. Footsteps echoed above, voices. 2 men. Lucas reached down and removed Max's leash. "Stay," he whispered. Max's ears flicked once. He stayed. Lucas stepped forward just enough for his shadow to appear on the wall. One of the men cursed softly. "What the—" Lucas moved fast. No wasted motion. A wrist turned. A knee buckled. One man hit the ground hard, breath leaving him in a rush. The other reached for his weapon and found himself staring into Max's open jaws. Max did not bite. He stood inches away, teeth bared, growl low and final. The man froze. Lucas bound them quickly, efficiently. Emily watched, heart pounding. "That dog," she whispered. "He's trained to end things," Lucas said. "He prefers not to." They moved on. By mid-morning, rumors were spreading, men disappearing, radios crackling with unanswered calls. Caldwell's people grew tense. Fear crept in where control had once lived. Caldwell himself watched reports scroll across a tablet from a heated office miles away. He was tall, lean, impeccably dressed even in winter. Dark hair combed neatly back, clean-shaven, gray eyes sharp with irritation rather than panic. "A seal," he said softly. "Of course." He set the tablet down. "Send more," he ordered. "I want them broken." Back in the frozen city, Lucas adjusted his course. Max trotted beside him, silent as snowfall. Emily tightened her jacket, eyes forward. Buffalo was no longer just a city. It was a weapon, and Lucas knew exactly how to use it. When the hunters become prey, the temperature dropped again as evening closed its grip on Buffalo, the kind of cold that cracked breath into sharp white shards. By dusk, the city felt hollowed out. Snowdrifts rose like barricades along dead streets, and the wind carried sound in strange ways, bending it, hiding it, then dropping it somewhere unexpected. Lucas preferred nights like this. Darkness simplified things. They reached the grain elevator district just as the last light bled from the sky. The structures loomed massive and skeletal, concrete towers scarred by decades of neglect. Rusted ladders clung to their sides like broken ribs. Ice glazed every surface, turning footing into a calculated risk. Emily paused near a collapsed loading ramp, steadying herself against the wall. Her breathing was shallow now. Lucas noticed immediately. "Sit," he said. "I'm fine," she replied automatically, then winced as pain flared through her ribs. Lucas crouched in front of her. "You don't get points for stubborn." Emily exhaled, nodding once. She slid down the wall and rested, knees drawn slightly inward. Her face was pale again, but her eyes remained sharp. "I slowed you," she said. "You kept up," Lucas corrected. Max circled them once, then positioned himself with his back to the open yard, head angled toward the distant street. His posture was calm, but every muscle beneath his coat was tight. The dog had gone quiet in a different way now. Focused. Hunting focus. Lucas scanned the area. "They'll split," he said. "Caldwell's people always do. They think numbers beat patience." Emily swallowed. "How many?" "Enough." She glanced at Max. "And him?" Lucas rested a hand briefly on the dog's neck. "One is all we need." They moved again, slower now. Lucas guided them into the shadow of one of the elevators, then up a narrow concrete stairwell that spiraled inside the structure. Each step echoed softly despite their care. The air smelled of dust, mold, and old grain. At the top, the world opened. The frozen harbor stretched out below them, moonlight glinting off broken ice. Wind tore across the exposed platform, whipping snow into sharp spirals. Lucas crouched low, pulling Emily down beside him. "Stay here," he said. "Do not move unless I tell you." She hesitated. "You're going alone." "Yes." "Lucas." He met her gaze, calm, certain. "I won't be far." Max whined softly, just once. Lucas knelt in front of the dog, resting his forehead briefly against Max's. It was a gesture he rarely allowed himself, not sentimental, grounding. "Guard," he whispered. Max turned and sat in front of Emily, body square, head lifted. His presence was immediate and absolute. Anyone approaching would have to go through him. Lucas disappeared down the stairwell without another sound. Below, Caldwell's men moved in from 3 directions. They were better armed now, better organized. Winter gear marked with no insignia. Faces hard, voices low over radios. They spread out through the shadows, boots crunching softly on snow. Mark Hanley led the southern approach. He moved with caution, scanning high angles, windows, rooftops. His breath fogged behind his beard as unease crept deeper into his gut. Men were missing, not dead, not found, just gone. That was worse. "Watch the towers," Hanley muttered into his radio. "He likes elevation." A faint sound echoed to his right. Hanley turned. Too late. Lucas struck from above, dropping hard into Hanley's path, momentum carrying him forward. A sharp blow to the knee sent Hanley crashing down. Before he could shout, Lucas was already gone, vanishing into shadow. Hanley screamed into his radio. "Contact! He's here!" Chaos rippled outward. Men fanned out. Shouts cut through the wind. Guns raised, fingers tight on triggers, and still no shots. Lucas moved like a current through ice water. He struck fast, then withdrew. He broke radios, cut power cables, lured men into narrow corridors where numbers meant nothing. At the base of the tower, two men advanced cautiously, weapons raised. They never saw Max. The German Shepherd erupted from the darkness in a blur of muscle and snow. He hit the first man hard, slamming him into the concrete. The second swung his rifle and found Max's jaws inches from his throat. Max did not bite. He held. The man froze, trembling. Emily watched from above, heart hammering. She had worked with canine units before. She had seen dogs trained to attack. This was different. Max radiated control. He was not wild. He was deliberate, a living warning. Lucas appeared moments later, binding the men quickly. "Stay," he told Max. The dog released instantly and returned to Emily's side. From a distance, a single shot rang out. Lucas flinched, not from fear, but calculation. Caldwell had arrived. Ryan Caldwell stepped from the shadows near the harbor's edge, coat immaculate despite the snow. He was tall, straight-backed, his movements economical. A pistol rested easily in his gloved hand, finger indexed along the frame. His gray eyes swept the area, cold and analytical. "So this is where you chose to die," he said into the wind. Lucas emerged opposite him, 15 yards away. "No," Lucas replied. "It's where you stop." Caldwell smiled thinly. "You think this ends well?" "For her," Lucas said. "Yes." Caldwell's gaze flicked upward. He spotted Emily, then Max. The smile faded. "That dog," Caldwell said. "I should have killed it first." Max's ears flattened slightly. His body tensed. Lucas took one step forward. "You don't get another move," he said. The world held its breath. Sirens wailed in the distance. Emily's hand tightened around the radio Lucas had left with her. Her voice cracked through the channel, steady despite pain. "Federal agents, en route," she said. "You're out of time." Caldwell glanced toward the sound, then back at Lucas. "Another day," he said quietly. He turned to run. Lucas didn't chase. Max did. The shepherd surged forward, snow flying beneath his paws. Caldwell stumbled, slipping on ice. He went down hard, weapon skidding away across the frozen concrete. Max stopped inches from his face, teeth bared, breath steaming. Caldwell lay frozen, staring into amber eyes that promised consequence. Lucas arrived seconds later, placing a boot on Caldwell's wrist. "Done," he said. Blue and red lights flooded the harbor moments later, washing the snow in color. Emily sagged against the railing, breath shuddering as relief hit her like a wave. Below, Max sat calmly beside Caldwell, unmoving until ordered otherwise. The threat was over. The night had chosen its side. The quiet, as in after the storm, morning returned to Buffalo without ceremony, a pale sun lifting over the frozen harbor, as if nothing remarkable had happened. Snow glittered faintly along the docks. The grain elevators stood silent again, concrete giants holding their breath. Sirens had faded hours ago, replaced by the distant grind of plows and the low hum of a city resuming its routines. Lucas Bennett watched from the edge of the pier, hands tucked into his coat pockets, breath steady in the cold air. He had not slept. Behind him, Max sat squarely on the ice, posture relaxed for the first time in days. His harness was still on, dusted with snow and streaked faintly with grime, but his amber eyes were softer now. The work was done. The danger had passed. He remained alert out of habit, not necessity. Lucas reached down and scratched the thick fur behind Max's ears. The dog leaned subtly into the touch, then settled again, calm and watchful. That was when Emily Rhodes approached. She moved carefully, left arm still immobilized, her stride shortened by bruised ribs. A long federal coat hung from her narrow shoulders, badge clipped openly now. Her dark hair was loose again, falling in uneven waves around her face. The exhaustion showed, but so did something else. Relief. "You disappear fast," she said. Lucas glanced over. Habit. She joined him at the pier railing, wincing as she leaned her weight slightly forward. Her hazel eyes scanned the frozen water below. "They got him," she said. "Caldwell's being transferred south. No bail, no delays." Lucas nodded once. "And his people?" "Talking," Emily replied. "More than we expected." She looked at Max. "They're scared of him." Max lifted his head at the sound of her voice, tail thumping once against the ice. "They should be," Lucas said. Emily smiled faintly, then grew serious. You could have killed Caldwell last night, yes, but you didn't. Lucas's gaze stayed on the water. Dead men don't face consequences. They just stop. Emily considered that. You believe in consequences. I believe in weight, Lucas said. Actions should carry it. A gull cried overhead, its sound sharp in the cold. Emily turned to him. Internal Affairs will want a statement. I won't give one, she nodded. I told them you were a private citizen who happened to be nearby. Thank you. They won't push, she added. Not after what they saw. She hesitated. What will you do now? Lucas thought of Kandahar, of snow falling on blood that never melted fast enough, of a life built on precision and endings. I'll stay, he said. For a while. Emily exhaled slowly. Buffalo's not an easy city. No, Lucas agreed, but it's honest. They stood in silence, watching sunlight break across the ice. Later that morning, in a secured federal facility downtown, Ryan Caldwell sat alone in a reinforced room. His suit had been replaced by a plain gray jumpsuit. The clean-cut appearance was gone. His hair was disheveled. His hands shook faintly as he stared at the table in front of him. A federal agent entered and placed a file down. Arraignment's in an hour, the agent said. You're facing life. Caldwell didn't respond. His mind replayed the moment at the harbor, the dog's breath on his face, the eyes that promised no mercy, only certainty. For the first time in years, fear had not come from a weapon. It had come from restraint. Back at the harbor, Emily extended her hand. Thank you, she said, for choosing the hard way. Lucas shook it gently, mindful of her injuries. You did your job, he replied. I did what I could, she smiled. That's more than most. An ambulance waited nearby to take her for final evaluation. Before climbing in, she paused and looked back at Max. He saved lives, she said. Lucas nodded. He always does. As the ambulance pulled away, Lucas turned and began walking along the pier. Max rose and followed at his side, steps perfectly matched. They passed workers shoveling snow, dock hands unloading trucks, people who glanced once at the man and the dog, then looked away, unsettled without knowing why. Lucas felt it again, the quiet balance. He did not need a uniform. He did not need permission. Justice had been done not with spectacle, but with presence, with discipline, with a dog who understood that true power did not announce itself. As the city moved on, rumors lingered, about a Navy SEAL who never fired a shot, about a German shepherd who ended a war with a stare, about criminals who learned, too late, that some storms did not pass. Lucas and Max disappeared into the winter streets, two silhouettes swallowed by falling snow, and somewhere deep beneath the noise of the world, something long broken finally rested. When this night was over, many would say it was skill that saved them. Training, experience, timing. But those who have lived long enough know the truth is often deeper than that. Sometimes, when the world feels cold and unfair, when you feel pushed to the edge and left alone, God places the right people in your path at the exact moment you need them. Not always with loud miracles, but with quiet strength, with courage that does not boast, with protection that stands firm without asking for credit. In our daily lives, we face storms of our own. Illness, loss, fear, loneliness. And just like in this story, help often comes in forms we do not expect. A stranger who refuses to walk away. A loyal companion who stays by our side. A moment of grace that keeps us standing when we should have fallen. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who may need hope today. Leave a comment and tell us what this story meant to you. And subscribe to the channel so we can continue sharing stories of faith, justice, and quiet strength. May God watch over you and your family. May He protect those who feel vulnerable tonight. And may He remind us all that no matter how dark the storm, we are never truly alone. God bless you.